Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. Thought to have this as a topic on the podcast, which is crazy. It's the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast, right? But I don't know, just dry humping has never crossed my mind. And then when I was listening to your episode, I was like, no fucking wonder, because this is seen as such a juvenile thing or thing that you did as kids or growing up, you know, and maybe you weren't ready to have sex yet, or who knows. And I'm excited to hear maybe your story around this if you're willing to share, and then to also share my story around dry humping too. Yay. All right. So tell us, I know you're doing big things over there in your world, Samia, and I'm excited just to hear from you. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Absolutely. So one, thank you for having me. I super appreciate it. And two, my name is Samia. I'm the owner of Sexual Essentials, and I am a hands-on sexual educator. So I pretty much teach about sex education, but as much as possible, I'm showing and demonstrating these things to you. And so it's not, but at the same time, it's real. It's real. So we're not showing like with oranges and stuff like that. Like, it's like, no, this is where this is. This is where that is. This is where that goes. And so, I teach, like oral sex classes and writing classes and all this stuff, that we need to know more about.
Yes. Yes.
And so, yes, that's what I do. I teach hands-on sexual education.
That is so fucking amazing. Like, that is so good. So I'm so curious about this. What even made you think of this? Why did you get this started yourself?
So I've always been like that sex best friend to people. And it's like, if you want us to try something, ask somebody. But at the time when I created this company, I was in this mom group chat. And somehow the topic of sex came up, and I was just like listening off all this stuff. And they were like, to be honest, like, I never even had an orgasm when I got pregnant. And that floored the shit out of me because I was like, you telling me I had gained like 40 pounds, stretch marks, boobs were no longer sitting up, and you got postpartum depression, and my coochie broke afterwards, and all this other crap, and you telling me like there was no orgasm with that? And so that was wild. And so I just was like, okay, well, I'll create a platform, and I was like, I'll do it as a blog. But then it was like, well, there are 1,000 sex blogs. You could pick up Cosmo and top 10 tips to spice up your life for real. But I was like, what? There's clearly a disconnect, because even like in relationships, I was seeing people that were madly in love, like it was falling off to the sex component, or either, cheating was coming up and things like that. And it's just like, clearly we do not understand orgasm, and we really don't have a hold on our sexuality. And so I just wanted to let people know, all of y'all saying the same shit, and I'm about to bridge it together, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And I realized that's really what was missing. Everybody's trying to tiptoe around it like they're curse words, like sex education is curse words. And it's like, if you're not going to explain it fully, people are not going to understand. It's like with anything, like when you talk about the stock market, you don't just be like, oh yeah, buy this and stuff and buy this down. No, people are like, hold on, show me what
do I do?
So I don't make, it's almost like you can make mistakes in everything else, but sex is just, we've made way too many mistakes, and we just have not put the emphasis where it needs to be in proper learning at all. Pleasure has been missed completely, and I just was sick and tired of it. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
And how long ago did you start this?
I just turned 4 in February.
Oh my gosh, incredible. Incredible. And to be a woman that's doing this, to be a woman that's, I'm sure, in your own sexual power and your own embodiment of that. I mean, just how incredible. I'm so glad that you started this, and this is going to be such a great resource. I cannot wait to link your info and stuff for people to start following you and jump on this train. I myself have been in the sex therapy, sex coach world for over 8 years. And yeah, I've come across one other person that's doing this. A man, Kenneth Clay, actually took his program, and it's the same concept. It's teaching. His program is called the Sex Hacker Pro. He's essentially teaching men, though, how to pleasure women better, which we can all have an appreciation for.
Absolutely.
But again, going back
for
a woman to be doing this, and I'm glad that you said it's not essentially porn. It might look like porn, I'm sure, from the outside, but when you bring in that educational component to it, and I also have an OnlyFans, which is kind of where my more sexually explicit stuff takes place. But it's so true. The people out there that just don't have the understanding, if they did get any sort of sex ed, there was no pleasure component to it whatsoever. And so the fact that you're literally teaching people from A to B, sometimes C, D, E, all the way to Z, right? Like the exact ways to be able to do these things and have fun with it. I'm loving that.
I'm super excited, and I'm encouraged to know that you've been doing this for 8 years and you're still doing it, because it just lets me know that this is my job. Like, it's cool. I don't have to worry about being laid off, because pleasure is just, we have so much catching up to do with making this a real thing. So I'm excited with it, and I'm not slowing down anytime soon. So.
No pun intended.
Right.
So we're talking specifically dry humping today, which I'm super, super stoked about, because and if you could see her, you guys, she's like thrusting in her seat right now. It's so good. But it's so funny, and I want to start just kind of like sharing some stories around dry humping from my past, from your past. I'd love to start with that. But in my work specifically, one of the things that I help couples with is to get back to that early stage of their relationship. For so many of us, that's what we're longing, right? We're longing that new relationship energy. And if you think back to probably in more childhood times, I'm thinking like middle school, high school, this is when this started to show up for me. But dry humping was a thing like that, and it was fun. It was exciting. And so why is it as we get older and become adults? And I mean, I know why, but I'm curious what you'll say about this. But why is it that you think that people kind of put this off to the side and think that, once you're past this age, perhaps dry humping should be no more, like you're immature if you do that?
I feel like we almost have a PTSD about orgasms, period. I think that women ourselves, we don't get enough of them, right? And then men, it's like, oh, someone that wants to have sex with me. And so when we do get together, it's just like straight, penis and holes, or whatever. It's straight to the point. And I think that's for two reasons. One of them being the fact that we don't ever have enough time to properly have sex, nor has it been drilled in our head how much time we should really be taking. And then two, when we do have the time, I don't think that people know how to fill those gaps realistically. They I don't feel like people are kissing as much, touching as much, and nor do I think that our relationships are even where they should be. There are a lot of people that are dating people that they're not happy with, but they are like, oh, I've been with this person so long, well, this is where I'm supposed to be. And your body is going to reflect that, Yeah. So we're not, hell, I guess that's 3 reasons. We're not in tune with ourselves to know what we actually want and have the discipline to get it. So sometimes we're with someone and it's completely wrong. So therefore you can't expect sexual chemistry to be there because you told it to show up. And then when you have the time, you don't know what the hell to do. Fill in the gaps. And then we also are not making proper time because there just has not been the correct education around how much time we really need for good sex. Yeah.
And really, I think, coming from the education piece of this, for how long sex lasts on average from penetration to male ejaculation, essentially, is on average 5 minutes. Like, that is super short. So it's almost like if we know scientifically, like this is what's going to happen, of course, working with a sex coach or something, there's definitely ways of elongating that time frame. But the stuff that happens before, essentially, to me, is that is the sex. Like, sex doesn't always have to include penetration. I've talked about that so many times on here. But that foreplay, that kissing, the dry humping, the oral sex, right? That is all part of that is all part of sex. That is all part of the experience. But I love that you said that. Yeah. Cause I'm just imagining like a couple getting together and you tell them like, okay, no penetration. Right. And then they're probably like, all right, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Yeah. Yeah.
What do we do then?
Yeah.
And see that, your mention of, how the sex starting beforehand, that's really the cheat code. If you can make sure that you're satisfied before the penetration starts, you're going to be good. And I think that we have to get more honest with our partners. And that's another thing. If you're lying all the fucking time about being satisfied or not bringing it up, we're creating sex lives in silence. And hell, there are plenty of people that cannot talk. And guess what? And cannot hear, but they create a form of communication, right? Sign language. But in sex, we just stop talking. We don't listen. So we're taking away two things that you need for proper communication, and we have not put something else in its place to find a way for us to communicate properly. Instead, we're lying. We're just omitting information and creating sex life around these things. We're omitting how to have pleasure. We're omitting our true wants and desires, as well as positive sexual criticism. So basically, people just doing whatever the fuck they want, and they're settling down, and usually settling in the wrong thing just when the sex is good. And so it's like, that people are like, why is it that all the good sex comes from the wrong person? That's because you refuse to communicate about anything sexually, and so you get tied down to be the first person who gives you good sex. And that's on a whim. Realistically, real sex takes effort and work and communication and all that grown-up stuff. Yeah. But when you skip all that, I mean, it's not any coincidence. People don't give it the thought that it really desires. And it's really needed, and it's not anyone's fault. This is how we have been raised, and it's just going to take a lot of undoing and a lot of accountability to say, you know what, I'm going to be different. Yeah, I'm going to move. That's the only person that you can, regulate. And so saying, hey, I'm going to do this differently, and I'm not going to accept this. Now you just taught someone something that they may have never heard from anyone else. Yeah. And investing in sexual education. We invest in everything else. Everything else. Girl, preach. Think about how many Amazon boxes people got come to their house, let alone, but can't pay like anything to learn more about sex stuff. Yeah. So, which I would argue is one of the most important pieces of just overall overall health and wellness is hugely connected to our sexuality and our pleasure specifically. But yeah, so I'm going back to dry humping and thinking of my early encounter with this. I just in our discussion, I've been thinking more on this, and I feel like there's a near and dear place like in my heart when it comes to dry humping, because for me, that's essentially how I learned masturbation. Thinking back to this, when I first discovered my clitoris, I've talked about this before, but it's like, I remember I'm a person that sleeps on her stomach. So when my hands would get cold, I'd put my hands on my body, and then I just so happened to feel that sensation, feel that pressure, and thought, oh, well, this is nice. So I just keep humping on my hands, right? Upgraded to some socks, upgraded to some stuffed animals over time, right? Like whatever was there, it was happening. But for me, that's how I masturbated. And I would say even now thinking, I've upgraded to toys and things like that, but even up until the last, I would say 10 years, I would say 8 to 10 years, that's how I've been masturbating my entire life, doing the same thing, right? On top of a toy or on top of something with that thrusting. And it wasn't until starting this work myself that I realized, oh, well, no shit. I can actually lie on my back and try this and see what happens, right? I can try standing up to see what happens. And you just learn so much about your body when you're able to do that. But then thinking about experiences, dry humping. I have one boyfriend in the past that I can think of that dry humping was our thing. Like it was I can recall many experiences, so fun. And I remember the first time I achieved orgasm from it, I was like, oh, like, is this weird? Is this wrong? And then I remember looking down and he had also achieved orgasm with ejaculation from this. I'm like, well, it's fine then, right? Of course. Wrong, right? Yeah. So male focused, but yeah, I'm like, all right. So we just kept doing it. And, and I also remember in a later experience in my life, I was so scared of being like slut shamed. So scared of being called a slut or a whore or all these things. And
shamelessly admit this, but I was in another relationship to where I had cheated on this person with a person. And I remember thinking in that cheating moment, well, if penetration doesn't happen, it's not cheating. So we just dry humped ourselves to orgasms, and that was it. And then in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm not a slut. I didn't actually cheat because there's no penis inside me. And now, obviously I'm much more educated now. I'm like, girl, you were fucked up. Like that was wrong. Like that is not good.
And I think that, first of all, that's a lot. You talked about a lot of different points, and I think all of those are important. We'll forget about the cheating thing. That shit's old anyway. You're a new person, right?
Past relationship.
So we'll throw that shit out. But the first one, masturbating in different positions, I think, first of all, people don't understand that everything that you want from partner sex should be present in solo sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about partners like, you only know how to do it in this one position, or we only do this. We never do anything exciting. We never try something different. Da 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 da. And it's like, well, look at how you masturbate. When the last time you did something different for your damn self? You use the same way. You lie on your back the same time, and you have not experienced difference from yourself yet. You're judging a partner for what everybody's probably doing what they do by themselves.
Yeah.
And so, come on now, like you're being over judgmental when you're not even doing the same thing. So that's one thing. So I love the fact that you have discovered, masturbating in different positions. But I also think that a lot of people, when they talk about or discuss like dry humping and stuff like that, they think that it's just a partner thing. And it's like, actually, no, let's add that to solo play, because I'm sorry, but I think that solo sex is the most important thing should be the most important thing, like in your sexual life. Because if you're not comfortable doing it alone, what makes you think you're going to be more comfortable to do it with someone else? People haven't even got to mutual masturbation, right? Because they're like, oh, I don't want to do that in front of my partner. This person that you fucking, you don't want them to see you touch your own clitoris. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. The math ain't mathing. So it's like, then you have dry humping only in one way. A lot of people think like, oh, you just have to have clothes on for this or that. And it's like, sex is a science experiment where you can take out different factors and change it, and let's just say dry humping is where there is not actual, genitals inserting inside of each other. Let's just say it's just that. That means that dry humping could be a lot of different things. That could mean by yourself. That could mean with clothes on. And recently I had an experience that took me over the edge. Okay. So like the head of the dick was rubbing against my clitoral hood, and that's all that happened. And I went crazy. And I was just like, okay, that was amazing. Like I did not get to orgasm, but that's just my lack of patience. And so I was like, nah, I need to. Yeah. We need to end this off right. I just did not have the patience, which most of us don't. But I know that I can, and I have before, just decided, I'm going to enjoy the journey. A lot of people also don't like dry humping because they're not okay with sitting in pleasure or uncertainty, which goes back to that orgasm PTSD, which is we're so deprived of proper sexuality that whenever an orgasm seems present or we're doing something that might include orgasm, we literally jump ahead because we're like, oh, I gotta get it. You can tell, you can tell. But when people have orgasms like crazy, it's like, we can enjoy, like you're not as pressed because you know that you know how to get there whenever you decide to, So that's kind of my tidbit on the things that you mentioned. But I think that people need to put more into their solo sex and also just really do some maneuvering with dry humping, because it does not always happen the same way of having on your clothes and just humping each other like little teenagers. Like, we could dress it up, make it a little more upscale, and but different textures rubbing against the clitoris and the head and glands of like the penis feel really, really great, but we don't know how those things feel because we generally have sex, give oral sex, all that stuff the exact same way every single time. And it's like skin to skin feels great. It's very important for a lot of reasons. And it's like different parts of your body have different textures of skin. Your tongue feels different than your cheeks. Your fingertips feel different than the palm of your hand. And my breasts feel different than, my ass. Like, but it's all soft and it's all good. And it's like,
Yeah.
Try some shit out. Like, there's plenty to do. But we just have not gotten there.
Yeah. And that, so I'm glad that you mentioned that, because in my mind, I was thinking, and maybe we should have started with this, like what is technically the definition of dry humping, but when I think dry humping, I always think basically humping with your clothes on. But what you're describing is that you can also engage in dry humping, let's say with your clothes off, by stimulating with different body parts even. You would say, in your professional opinion, is also considered dry humping.
For sure, because it's like, what I realized, like, with sex and a lot of things in life, honestly, is get rid of the gray area. Mm-hmm. Is it really there or not there? And it's like, okay, dry hump, and it's no shade to anyone that's like, dry humping is just with clothes on. It's just we usually haven't thought it through. And I'm like, okay, well, what if you take the clothes off? That doesn't make it sex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's what makes it sex. And so I'm like, well, as long as we don't have sex, that means we can maybe keep, experimenting with dry humping, see how far we get. What all can we do without actually having the sex? And I feel like that is a positive reinforcement to having proper and long enough foreplay. Mm-hmm. What all can we do before the penetration starts,
Yeah. And I find with thinking of a recent encounter actually between my husband and I with dry humping on the couch, it was during a mushroom experience. I'm not really sure if that has much to do with it or not, but I remember just feeling like it was just so sensual. It was so, and I feel like in my past dry humping, it's been literally like teenage dry humping, right? Like sexual, but this moment in particular, and I literally didn't even think of this until just now, but we felt literally so connected with one another. There was kissing. There was so much passion in this moment. I believe I did achieve orgasm from that now that I'm thinking of it, but we were fully clothed and eventually, led to more things afterwards. But yeah, I feel like there can be almost an art to dry humping, it doesn't always have to be girl on top, grinding against a partner. I also don't think that there really has to be any gender norms when it comes to dry humping. I think this could go for any gendered person out there.
I think it's a great way to practice though as well. Like, so a lot of people are like, oh, like a lot of people are always trying to practice on game day. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Like, if we all know that we get excited when there's penetration involved, I know I do. Like, whatever we plan, you can throw that shit out the window, because once it goes in, I can't help you.
Yeah.
So practicing, like, people even show up to my class and they're like, oh, maybe I should just practice your head class on my partner. And I'm like, girl, that is not what you're going to be thinking about. Or boy, that is not what you're going to be thinking about when it's in your mouth. Trust me. Like, practice outside of that.
Yeah.
And so I feel like dry humping can help if you're like trying to perfect your stroke, or if you want to try new positions, and you can say, okay, babe, these are 3 new positions I learned from Sexual Essentials page, and I want to try them. Don't take off them clothes, because we're going to get sidetracked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And I like that. Okay, I'm going to lift up more. And now you're more comfortable, because nobody wants to be criticized while they butt ass. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a hell no, right?
Yeah.
So you have this time where you have your clothes on that you can practice these things, or, right before, and you can make it sensual and sexy, but also it's a great way to get started kind of like on a tantra journey, and just understanding that penetrative sex is really amazing, but it also is only that. And there's so many other things, and I'm not gonna lie to you, 5 minutes sex isn't terrible to me.
True. Yeah.
There was 35, 40 minutes of foreplay and rubbing it. By the time that 5 minutes come, I'm like, please take me out of my misery. Please put it in. Like, at this point, like, I don't need that much time. When the pussy is properly warmed up, on insertion.
Yes.
Like, but that's because you got to do it right. But people are not hearing me. They don't want to. I have an entire class called Foreplay and Vaginal Orgasms. And people are like, what? And I'm like, yeah. You want a vaginal orgasm? You're going to need the foreplay. Like, hear me out. And I teach that. And so I just wish people would, I don't know. I don't know what I wish, because it's just, I don't know. Maybe we need more voices, more sex.
I was going to say, you wish people would listen to you. That's what we all want. Just listen to us. We are the experts. We know.
I don't know, but I love this conversation. I've talked about this before, and it's always funny to hear conversations come up on different platforms, because the direction it goes is always different, and I feel like this is even different than when I talked about it last time. So this is interesting.
That's one thing that I love about podcasts, because I definitely am always looking at other sex podcasts. I'm like, who they got on there, right? Do I think this person would be good? And yeah, I immediately felt, I'm like, we're vibing very well. I feel you are my people 100%. You're just everything about you. And it's so funny the things that you're saying. I want to just tell people that are listening, like, I did not pay her to say these things, because so many things have come out of your mouth that I have also said. I'm like, we are so on the same page right now, and it's so good.
When you did say the masturbation positions, I was like, that's the first time she gets me, because I'm always telling people, so how do you masturbate? And they're like, on my back. And I'm like,
yeah, I know.
We gotta do something more, but I love to hear it. I love to hear it.
Yeah, it's such an important thing to talk about, and with May is right around the corner. May is masturbation month, so I think that this episode will come out in the next few weeks, which is perfect timing, I think, for people. And I also love, you shared something that was actually new for me to hear. Again, I feel like I'm learning so much on this, but I would have never thought. One thing that my husband and I like to do when we have planned our nights for, we call it our sexploration time. One of the things that we go to is we have a sex position book. And so we just pick a random number, we go to that page, and then we do that sex position. But I think when you were saying this, like, it is super vulnerable to be butt ass naked trying these things. I'm like, why? I'm like, next time we are doing this shit fully clothed, we're going to pick a couple to try, right? Like, and we're going to do this fully clothed, make sure we're good. 'Cause I can't tell you the amount of times I've gotten Charlie horses and my sciatic nerve is acting up, like all this shit. He's getting leg cramps. I'm like, this is like, I'm all about switching it up, but shit, I want to be comfortable.
That, and then no matter what we tell men about, their penis and stuff, if they're not on hard, sometimes they're embarrassed. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, even if we were naked, if you're embarrassed, it's not going to help you get hard later. So it's like having it covered has this sense of, kind of like a layer to protect that vulnerability, I think, too.
Yeah.
And sometimes things are just sexy with clothes on. I'm sorry, I feel like I love being half naked. Don't get me wrong, but I think half naked is always great, or having some clothes on because it's a tease, not because I think that it's just better to be clothed. Not at all. I'm going to still wear the tightest thing possible so you can see this ass. But the point is that you can't actually see it, but you know that it's good under.
Yes, girl. Yes.
So yeah, like the clothes on, I think it's pretty hot.
Yeah. Plus, another thing I just thought about is that, our brain is our number one sex organ. So if you're trying these new positions, these new things, and you're so much in your brain, like, are we doing it right? Is this feeling good? Right? And you are naked, then of course you're going to lose an erection. Of course, that woman that might have been super turned on, now she's overthinking things or thinking in general, right? And you could lose the moment. So I think, God, that was such a genius thing for you to say. I'm so glad you said that, because now I'm like, this just changed my whole life. I feel like now thinking about this.
I can't wait to hear what happens when you guys go in for the next sexual exploration day.
I'm going to tell them, like,
honestly, trying everything with some clothes on is kind of hot.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I love it. And again, going back to the earlier conversation, with couples that are struggling to get intimacy with each other or feel connected to each other, why not try this? Why not go back to the things? When I was going to a conference, the presenter at the time, Ian Kerner, he said, I'd like to take couples back to the basement. And I remember sitting there like, what? And he said, when you were growing up, right, that's super secretive. You had your partner over and you didn't want to get caught kissing or second basing each other. So you take yourselves back to that moment in the basement as children. And so what things can you recreate in your relationship now that are going to give you that same vibe, that same instance of mystery or curiosity or spontaneity, right? And I think that dry humping, everything we talked about in this conversation, all plays into a part of that. It's like trying new things, not doing things on autopilot or the same thing on repeat.
And I think that part is because a lot of us are just truly not in tune with ourselves. You're on autopilot with yourself. And so, of course, you're only going to be on autopilot with your partner. And so I just think that we're overworked. We're stressed. It's a lot of things going on. And my biggest push for good sex is going to be self-care. Mm-hmm. When you give yourself self-care, you're not saying, I don't need this, but you need all your things in proper proportion. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, You're going to be much more aware of how you're feeling and what you're feeling. And sometimes people are doing something great to you and you can't feel it because you have your own wall of stress or anxiety or, you know, depression or just not happy with where you are in life. So you don't have anything to let go and be free and let your body, because if you're tense out, you're not going to come, or it's not going to be easy, or you're not going to feel the destinations of pleasure. You're only going to feel where there's orgasm.
Yeah.
And that's really what most people are used to. They're used to, can you hear me? Mm-hmm. Okay. They're just only used to orgasm itself, not the journey to orgasm.
Yeah. Yeah.
My headphones died.
Oh. Awesome. Well, we can actually wrap up. Is there anything else that anything else that you think is good for people to know about dry humping or just in this conversation?
No, that's pretty much it. I think if someone, I think that the only thing that people probably may say if they're not like, oh, I totally agree, is like, well, I just don't like it. And I'm telling you that if you don't like your body touching someone that you love, or if you don't like your body touching your own body, we are all entitled to our own preferences, but dig into that. Find out more about why you don't want to be touched. You can make up your mind, but you cannot make up your mind if you haven't seen the other side. And so some of us just have a wall up about things that we don't like because we haven't found any pleasure in it. I mean, to find pleasure from it. And pleasure is there. We're not saying, humping doesn't hurt, you know, so if you don't like it, find out why. Yeah. You know, and try to find a way to like it and see like, maybe I can find what they're talking about, you know? And a lot of people may be like, well, where do I start? How do I start this conversation of, oh, you want to hump? Like, especially if you're not dry humping at all. And it's like, maybe you just are teasing and kissing with clothes on and, you know, go in there with something sexy on and just don't let the clothes come up. Like, let's even make it a game. Okay, I bet that you can't make it through 30 minutes of us doing this without taking your clothes off. Like, who's going to take the clothes off first? Whoever takes their clothes off first has to wash dishes. Like, whatever you have to do to make it fun. But if you can't do these fun things with your partner, again, that's just something else that you need to explore and figure out. So what are you not saying? What are you not being honest about that this is so uncomfortable? You know, so it's time to dig into it and fix these sex lives. It's really time. And it's not going to happen from being quiet and sending out rays of thoughts. You're going to have to open that mouth. Yep. We're not mind readers. Hopefully in more ways than one. and get to it, you know? Yeah.
I love you so much. This was so good. Thank you so much for coming on again. And please tell us where people can find you on Instagram or any other social medias that you're present on, because people need Samia in their life.
You are just speaking so much life into me today. I had a little dull in my day right before this, and this did pick me up every time when I'm like, oh man, like, because I really like to go into interviews like with, you know, super smiley, and what I'm realizing is that sometimes you show up to things and it's kind of like a sex life. You show up to things, you're not sure what's going to happen, and if you show up and put your energy into it, though, that energy will come back to you. So I appreciate you so much for pouring into me today. If you guys want to, come on now. Yeah, come on.
When you're ready.
Over to Instagram at Sexual Essentials, or my website, thesexualessentials.com. I have a Patreon that has over 230 classes, workshops, guest speakers, hands-on demonstrations that are showing you, you know, I have some demos on there where I actually showed how to edge, and I gave a woman her first orgasm. Like, I'm fully clothed, but, you know, she's the scientific prop. She donated her vagina to science for me. And it's really great. And then I also have master classes where I teach the mouth master class, dick riding 101, and masturbation squirting, which is a really great class if you've never had an orgasm at all. And so, and then I'm always just, you know, teaching little free tidbits from Instagram, going live, and, you know, post, you know, the whole shebang and all of that. So.
Well, I cannot wait to have more of it in my life for sure. I will check those things out myself, definitely, because I'm always looking to learn and expand myself. So thank you again so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.